Hi everyone, this is video 2 for Shortcuts this week. This price list will get published at 9 p.m. Sydney time as always this Wednesday, the 28th. And this is the classic rock list. And I've already done a funk and soul and jazz list. It should be in your feed, which I really liked, by the way. So this price list will go out. If you're not on the price list but would like to be, check the notes below, click on the link and join up, or wait to the end of the video and I'll explain how. All right, I'm wearing my Herbie Hancock t-shirt because one of you on this list got me a ticket to see this concert. It was my favorite concert of 2024. On Wednesday, I saw what's likely to be my favorite concert of 2026. In fact, one of my favorite concerts ever, which was the We Kiss the Sky tour by Dabid Byrne. I saw it here in the entertainment centre. If any of you saw it, please let me know in the comments what you made of it. I loved it. It leaned into this record. Now, I had a box that I had prepared for the record fair here in Northern Beaches last Sunday, but I got stuck at customs. It arrived yesterday or day before, and it's got a lot of classic records in it. It would have been brilliant in the fair, but now you guys can look at them instead. And I'm going to start here just because of Dabid Byrne. This is the Japanese first press of Remain in Light. Now, Once in a Lifetime from this record was a highlight on the show. Cross-Eyed and Painless, one of my favorite Talking Heads songs. Produced by Brian Eno, of course. I think this, Fear of Music, and Talking Heads 77, the debut, are pretty special. Songs about buildings and food I love as well. But this is great. It's got the little poster. It's the Japanese first press, which I love. The sound quality is the same copy I have. Brilliant gig, brilliant experience, everything about it, the choreography, the cultural ethos behind it, the sly kind of diminution of what's going on in the US, being reactionary without being incendiary. It was full of love and beautiful music. Talking about an album that's full of beautiful music, what about this? On the Beach, Neil Young. Part of the Ditch trilogy with Time Fades Away and Tonight's the Night. Maybe the best of the three, certainly my favourite of the three. World-worn, sad, but still just such great music. The slow grooves of Ambulance Blues, the See the Sky About to Rain is so beautiful. I absolutely love this. I remember this was kind of, unreleased and then not pressed on CD for donkeys. I remember when it first came out on CD. I bought it in a record store in Cricklewood Broadway in London. I played it to death. Couldn't believe this record sat on the shelf for decades. It's a fantastic record. It really is. And the Japanese press of that is also spectacular. Now we continue on with the reasons why this would have been great for the record fair last Sunday. I also have the Japanese first press hard cardboard gatefold of that little known Neil Young record called Harvest. Includes the poster, lyric set and everything. Wonderful sound quality, stellar record, just amazing. In the special box set that was done of this, its 50th anniversary a while back, there was a DVD that made it into a couple of the cinemas of the making of Harvest. And if you ever get a chance to seek it out and watch it, it's well worth it. It is fantastic. All right, now here's one that I haven't had for a really, really long time. And this is the Japanese, I'm pretty sure it's Japanese, yeah. It's the Japanese first press of 1999 by Prince. What about that for side one? 1999, Little Red Corvette, Delirious. Just brilliant. Those of you, I always like this. Produced, arranged, composed, and performed by Prince. This is the 2 LP Japanese first press. Still such a tragedy that he died so young. It's a really sleek and propulsive album, lots of snap and bite, and just a classic. And yeah, I know a bunch of you have got some Japanese Prince records and love them to death. How about this? I also have. I don't think this is the first press. I think this is an anniversary press of Fleetwood Mac Rumours with a really nice blue obi. The vinyl is in wonderful condition. Really, really like it. And yeah, highly recommend this lovely copy of that little known album called Rumours. So you have Harvest and Rumours, and there's still some classics to come, trust me. All right. This is the only kind of 12-inch on the list, but this is one of the best 12 inches ever made. This is Club by ZZ Top. So you've got Velcro Fly extended mix, the Legs extended mix, Sleeping Bag stages, and the dub version of Velcro Fly as well. One of the best live concerts I've ever seen was ZZ Top at the Metro in Sydney, and just a really cool 12-inch. Sounds spectacular as well. Talking about sounding spectacular, I know quite a few of you have this now, but I keep grabbing it when I see it. This is the gatefold with notes, Japanese Asia. Steely Dan's glossy, weird but groovy kind of classic jazz harmony with pop hooks. There's the sleeve. Looks in beautiful nick, as you know, pretty much all the Asia records I've ever seen are. So glossy, so interesting. Peg, what a song Peg is. Just a timeless kind of hi-fi pop record, and has a place in most collections, I should think. And that Japanese press is spectacular. Here are two double LPs from the Allman Brothers. I have had phenomenal feedback on the Japanese first presses of these two records from those of you who've grabbed them, because I've only really started getting them in the last couple of years. So this is the Eat a Peach and Live at the Fillmore East, Japanese first presses of both those Allman Brothers classics, on the Capricorn label, of course. Now, this one comes with the little Eat a Peach image, and is in really nice condition. I've seen the sleeve kind of be pretty marked up by humidity dots, but this one's in lovely condition with that kind of really kind of psychedelic middle. Fantastic record, and a really nice companion piece with Live at the Fillmore East. I'm just going to show you that. Also, the double gatefold hard cardboard. So, highly recommend both these records. I'm a big Allman Brothers fan, and I've had probably 50 or 60 copies of Brothers and Sisters. It's definitely at Shortcuts royalty status. The issue is these two are much harder to get, especially in really, really nice condition. You know, those expansive kind of twin guitar conversations, just the grooves, are just brilliant. I know that jam bands aren't for everyone, but there are some absolute nuggets in amongst the kind of monster jams and are well worth exploring. You know, Eat a Peach in particular, part live, part studio, is really something else, wrapped in grief after what happened to Dwayne, but so resilient, so beautiful. I highly recommend it. Love it to bits. All right. Now, talking about people we love to bits, I was absolutely saddened to hear about the passing of Rob Hurst during the week. I have a really long relationship with Midnight Oil. In fact, Midnight Oil were part of the reason I fell in love with music. I've told the story before of ordering Blue Sky Mining and Screaming Blue and Earth and Sun and Moon from my local record shop, Gene Stewart's Country Music Store. And he always remembered me, Gene Stewart. He's long gone now, but he remembered me because I was the kid coming in ordering Australian music when I lived in Dungannon in County Tyrone. and now I live here. And I had the pleasure of seeing Midnight Oil only twice. Once when they reformed for a benefit concert years ago, and I saw their warm up gig in Canberra, ticket bought for me by a work colleague. And then I saw them a few years ago on one of their tours, and a very dear mentor of mine, Craig, got me a ticket and pinged me on the day and said, "Come and see Midnight Oil." So I saw Midnight Oil effectively twice by accident, and they were amazing both times. And Rob Hurst, the drummer, was a spectacular drummer. I can't really imagine that there was a more impactful drummer in Australian music history than Rob Hurst. And I've got two records here that I pulled out of the crates, just because I think they highlight probably some of the best of Rob Hurst. The debut album, Midnight Oil, is their kind of proggiest, and here he is, Robert Hurst, under Pete Garrett, James McGeaney, Andrew James, and Martin Rotsey. I think this is a really lovely record. I really like it, and it's very different to what came before, but his talent and his playing is spectacular. But I think from a Rob Hurst perspective, the greatest record for him as a performer, I think, is this one, 10-1. And it's I think it's a pivotal, you know, Midnight Oil record, because maybe they wouldn't have went on to be what they became without a record of this quality. But Only the Strong, Read About It, Screaming Blue, and I think the opening two tracks of side two in particular just highlight his genius, and that is US Forces and The Power and the Passion. And my favourite kind of deep cut, when the news came of his passing, I'm on a few music groups, and I shared Maralinga, which is the third track on side two, which I think is Rob Hurst in a groove, driving a really cool kind of typical deep cut Midnight Oil song, and I absolutely love it. And it's such a shame that he's no longer with us, but we can celebrate, and we'll be listening to Midnight Oil forever and ever. They're that good. I was talking to one of my club members about my three favourite Australian bands, and it's evolved since I've been here. I would have had Midnight Oil easily top of the list, but it's got competition now from The Church, from The Saints, and from Radio Birdman. But Midnight Oil, what a band, what a legacy, what a human being, just amazing. And he had other bands which were awesome as well, which are well worth exploring. So here's to Rob Hurst. All right, I've got a few interesting records to go. I'm doing okay in time. What about this? There's a band I don't talk about very often. When we're talking about drummers, we've got Neil Peart, who's also dead and gone, from this band, Rush. And this is their record. I can't remember what year this is from. This is the Aussie First Press with the insert. I believe it's 1980, but that's Permanent Waves by Rush. And I think Rush were pretty much a prog rock band that had some pop leanings in certain places in their career, but this one's very sharp and very pristine, and it just lands. I think it's a very replayable Rush record, even though they're nowhere near my favorite band. And this next artist was in a couple of bands I really like The Faces, but his solo career is somewhat of an embarrassment from my perspective, except for the early records like Gasoline Alley and this, the Rod Stewart album, his debut. This is on hard cardboard gatefold. This features Street Fighting Man, a really good cover, Man in Constant Sorrow, and Handbags and Glad Rags, and is not something I've seen around too often, even though this record isn't really that highly regarded. I love it to bits. I think it's really good. Now, it's not as good as this next one. Another kind of Japanese, full-on Shortcuts royalty. I think at last count, like 65 of you have got a copy of this. This is Deja Vu, the Japanese press on the snakeskin hard cardboard gatefold with the laminated cover. It's just a fantastic record from start to finish. We've already showcased Neil Young at the beginning, but everything that Stills, Nash and Crosby did on this album is tremendous. Apart from a couple of tracks that kind of not my favorite, it has so much going for it. Just wonderful. A super group that actually worked. I also have the 1976 press of Rubber Soul, which is my favorite now of all the Japanese presses. I think the 1976 Flag series is actually the best pretty much across the board now. Having listened to so many of the variations, I think they get the bass and the treble just right. The vinyl quality is superb, and it's not expensive. So, $35 it is to get this really nice Rubber Soul. All right, I've got a few interesting things to finish with. What about this? This is the Aussie first press of Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds. But what's interesting is you can see there, it's a promo copy. I'll have to get rid of that piece of dirt that's on the back. From 1965, the Jangle Architects, recorded in the USA. Beatles harmonies with Rickenbacker guitars. It worked sporadically, and I think Mr. Tambourine Man's probably the most beautifully arranged and probably the best of their studio albums. And yeah, surprised to find a promo copy in the crates. I absolutely adore Thin Lizzy, and these US presses that I've gathered up recently are pretty great. I think I'm on record now of saying that Aussie Thin Lizzy presses are horrifically bad. I like the Japanese and I really like the US, and it's got a really nice inner. It's made on proper hard cardboard. It's just a more durable and higher quality product than the Aussie press. And you know what? It sounds awesome. So US first press of Johnny the Fox, the Irish street poets of hard rock. Okay, I've got a little bit of metal off the back of the crates that I've been showing you guys recently. This is the band Accept, the German rock band, and I've got Balls to the Wall, and I've got Accept, Restless and Wild. So these were both UK first presses, released in 82 and 83. Both are pretty rare in fantastic condition. A lot of these European metal bands that came out at this time were maybe more sharper and more aggressive than their UK equivalents, and so they kind of run more toward the thrash sound and kind of more symphonic sound that some of the British bands had, but they're really good. And then there are bands like this. This is a bit rarer. This is the Swedish heavy metal band Oz, and this is their 1983 album Fire in the Brain, and this is the Swedish first press of that record, and it features this little Oz promo as well, where you could order your Oz t-shirt for 60 kroner or $8 US. You can get posters and photos and all sorts as well off the back of Oz's first LP. So yeah, a really beautiful thing. A pretty interesting band as well. The European scene, as I've discovered through this box, is quite varied. I've kept quite a few of the European records in particular, but these kind of early 80s have a real driving tempo and a bit rawer production that I really like. And here's another one of those bands. This is Crocus. This is Swiss metal. So this is 1983, also first press. And so they were more kind of big stadium ready sound, but yeah, still had their moment in the 80s. We were talking about Thin Lizzy just earlier. One of Thin Lizzy's greatest guitarists is Gary Moore, and this is his 1984 album. This is the UK first press of Victims of the Future. Again, everything out of this collection is just tremendous. And then finally in this little section is a record I didn't really know very much at all. This is You Can't Stop Rock and Roll by Twisted Sister. This is an earlier record, definitely more raw, more defiant. I think it was, I'm not sure if it's a re-release, I'll find out. I'm pretty sure it's the Aussie first press, but I wonder if it might have been released in the US a little bit earlier than that. But Twisted Sister is just kind of pure adrenaline. So thank you for making it through. If you did see Dabid Byrne, make sure and leave me a comment. If you would like to be on the mailing list to chance to buy some of these records, drop me an email at shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com or click on the link in the notes below. Please like, subscribe, or tell your friends I'm here. Or even if you live on the northern beaches of Sydney, if you'd like to come and troll through my crates in my garage, drop me a note. All right, thank you so much for watching. Bye.